Hi. You hear me?
I hear you. Am I the only one on?
Think so. I see two of you.
Yeah, I didn't, when I didn't see anybody, I went on my phone to do it. So I'm getting off my phone. Let me see. Where am I? Did I cancel it? How do I get off of this? I close, leave, leave meeting. Okay,
Okay.
hi.
Okay.
Are you expecting more people?
Whoever,
I
whoever,
mean, you want to do this just with me, or do you want to do it another time, or how?
whoever wants. I'm in the need of a chavrusa. I was learning with someone. It worked out a bit, but you know,
And
whoever wants
Shlomi,
to join. If not,
who are you?
I am Shlomi Stock. My father is Shalom Ber from Connecticut.
Okay, Shalom Aleichem. So you're a student just like I am?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. Where do you live?
Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I have Pittsburgh. I have friend from there. What's his name? Silverman, married to Weinstein.
Yeah, sure. Shlomo.
Shlomo, yes.
So you're Shlomo's age.
I think a year older than him,
Yeah.
but
He's a
yeah,
shliach at Carnegie Mellon University.
yeah,
He's a
yeah.
good boy.
Okay.
He's a good boy.
Um, this is
What do
being
you do
recorded.
now?
Yeah, this is being recorded, and if you're okay with it, I want to put this on my YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
Um,
I guess I don't know why not.
it's not the okay, so let's begin. I'm doing from the Seder Limud file. I'm going with that. Actually, I could probably, if you want, I could share the page. Hold on. Share, share. Do you see it?
I do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I see. You're just gonna make.
So wait, where I don't have this page. Where do you have this?
I shared it with you, so you see it automatically on your screen. I think.
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just gonna make Sutra bigger. Hold on. Let me. Uh,
Oh, I see. You have
oh,
it from
so
Safari.
it automatically makes you small. Okay. No, no. Second, because I have two screens over here. Yeah. So the Kesses starts off. If you have any other way that you want to do this, then Gesundheit. But originally I was thinking of maybe doing it a bit in a different order, but you let me know what you think. I was originally thinking of maybe doing the the Mechaber with the I was thinking of doing the Mechaber and then doing the Mishnah Brura, Alter Rebbe, and Kesses. But I think we'll just go with what he says because
You are
it's a
much
bit.
more advanced than I am. I do the Alter Rebbe and get to the Kesses Hasofer. I have not done
No, some
Shlomo.
I'm a bit on the last one. Last week I wasn't feeling well, and I fell behind on the. I need to catch up on the psuchas and the stumas, um, because that's a heavy. It's a
That's a heavy
heavy.
duty thing. That's yeah. So do you want to do that?
We could, if you want, we could do that. I'm
It,
fine
it
with it.
really to me it doesn't to me it doesn't matter. I'm here to learn. I'm so um
Okay, so we'll start with the Casidron, and we'll see how far we get. Like this it's in order from what we need to do.
so you're saying that this is actually from class number 5.
Yeah, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of what he wanted us to do from class 5.
Okay.
This is what I hyperlinked on the. If you see on top of the screen, it says over there Seder Limud, and you can't really see the rest of it because it's hiding. But oh, here. So you have Seder Limud, Google Sheets, and then the
Okay.
next piece, and then the open file is Kesses. Okay, so the Kesses starts off. Tefillin and mezuzahs, tzrichin ksiva kesidron. The tefillin and mezuzahs need to be written in um in order
Order.
by Aleph Seifim, and there are 11 paragraphs. Number one, tefillin and mezuzahs, tzrichin lichtev eisen kesidron. You need to write them in order. As he's going to spell out, they need to be written in order the way they are written in the Torah. That's why, as he explained in the Shir, when it comes to Rabbeinu Tam, you have to skip. Um, you have to skip. I think Vahayim. You have to skip Vahayim
Shema
Shemaya.
goes last.
Yeah, you have to skip Vahayim Shemaya and then write it. You have to make a space, and then you have to leave room for Vahayim Shemaya, and then you go back and you write in Vahayim Shemaya in order that it should be in order that it should be in order. Now, what happens if you didn't write it in order? That's what he says now. If you wrote it without not in order, whether it be in a case of Ben Hikdim, whether you preface the Pasha Hamu Cheres Lahamu Demes, whether you put the later one instead of being the front one, Ben like a certain Pasulan, whichever way you messed up it not being in order, it is puzzle. And this is all based off the it's all based off the as we're going to
Well,
see later, I think it's all based off of
Lahoyu.
the Vahayu Baviyas and Yehu, that's the Gemara, which is based off um um the Mechilta. The Torah brings the Mechilta at the end of Bay, at the end of next week's Parsha. Over there it says that tefillin need to be written in order, and if not, they need to be buried. Lachin, therefore, im nimtza shechaser ois achas. If it's a case where you left out a letter, ein lehem takana, el im ken yochel ligreit memata lamayla ad mokoim hachesaron. There, so it's interesting that over here he didn't go through the nitty gritty details and share because that's what he wanted us to figure figure out on our own as we were learning it. But it's interesting that
Interesting.
the last line or um over here where you see the mouse moving, this piece lachinim nimtza shechasa ois achas ein lahem takana, that is the um that's the terminology um of the tour. And then when he continues, Ella imken yochel ligrin memata lamayla, if I'm not mistaken, that is taken from the um that's taken from the Bis Yosef, where the Bis Yosef says on the tour, um, yes, the um um yes, it's true what the Torah is saying that you can't that there's no takana based off the forgot who, either the Mechilta or um Forgot which source, but there's source A if you want to say basically he not copy, yeah, it's pretty much copy paste, and that's where he says that if you miss out a letter in the takana, the Mechaber says the same thing. But then the B'S Yosef adds, but technically, if you're able to erase, as long as there's no Shem Hashem, if you're able to, if you're able to go backtrack and erase up until um, where you're missing, so then you could fit it in, like he says now in the bracket in shame in ain sham shame. If there's no, if Hashem's name is not there, obviously if Hashem's name is there, then you can't erase Hashem's name, and obviously it would be puzzle in that case. So now once you erased all the way till let's say you wrote Shema Yisrael. So technically, you could erase all the way. You wrote Shema Yisrael without the resh, let's say. So you could erase the lamed, the lamed and the aleph, and then the lamed and the aleph, and write the resh, and stick in the aleph, and the lamed if you didn't write any other letters, meaning you would have to erase everything up until the letter that you're missing. Meaning, as you're writing, if you realize that you forgot, you have to basically stop where you're writing. You have to you're already concentrating, but you need to be ultra concentrating, because if you make the mistake, you need to stop where you are. That's why we have that's where we're going to have later on where um, where you need to chazer over. Um, Once you finish one parsha, you read the parsha once, twice, or three times, as the Alter Rebbe says, in order that you shouldn't make a mistake, and it's going to need geniza. Because if you're writing and then you realize that you have a mistake, whether it be a extra letter or missing a letter, like in our case here, then if you stop right now and you didn't write anything further, then if there's no Hashem's name, then you could just you erase, and then you fix it. And then you write what you erased. Al makom agarad, on the place um that you erased. So that's if you had a if you left out
Skip
a
a
letter.
letter.
What happens
You
if you
left out a
add? So
letter,
that's
yeah.
halacha base.
Yeah.
If you added a letter, you're able to fix it. If it's at the end of a word, or or at the end or in the beginning. It's a teva, but if it's in the middle, la, you shouldn't. Mishum yigroid yiyanira kishtei tevas, because
Would look like two letters,
it's
yeah.
going to look like two letters.
Yeah.
But even then, so this is also, if I'm not mistaken, just like we had before, where first it's you can't fix it, but then if you could erase it, um, there's the, if you want to say, there's the first um opinion, be it the Mechilta or wherever it comes from, and then the B'S Yosef came and added, but yes, that's what he says. But if technically there is a way around it, if you're able to erase based off whoever he brings. The same thing is over here by the letter in between. Um, where over here where he says teva, but if it's in the middle, you shouldn't, because then it's going to look like two letters. That is, if you want to say, that's opinion number one. But then we try to. The reason why we go back and forth like this is like what Rabbi Chaim mentioned, is that we want to do everything um, that it should not need geniza. almost like shalom
Yeah,
bayis.
right,
You 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 need to do everything you can.
right.
Obviously, you need to do everything you can. That if you have an issue, you need to figure out a way that is not going to need geniza. If
I think he
you're able
mentioned
to
he
again,
mentioned that Seventh Tzedek wrote that he went really out of his way quite a bit to not, to find a heter, to find heterim, so that there shouldn't be Geniza. That you don't want that whatsoever. It was very.
right?
Seventh Tzedek was really makpid on that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
here, yeah.
yeah. There's
So
a
what does
tshuva.
that mean? If it's at the beginning or the end of a word, there's no problem. You just erase it,
Right.
correct? Either at the end or the beginning.
Um,
But
if
it
it's at
will
the
look,
end,
if you erase the superfluous letter in the middle, and it would look
right?
like two different words. That's what we've done so far in this then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on the third line of V'im yochal limshech ha'ois shalafanav. If you're able to stretch the letter before this additional letter, you go into kasav lavisecha mole malevav sheyuchal limchak es havav limshech es habei shaper dami. Meaning, basically, extra letter is less of an issue than an extra letter is easier um than a, than lacking a letter in a way. Yes, you have the issue of it maybe being two letters, but it's easier because number one, you have the whole that particular letter that you need, you have the tsuris ice. You just wrote an extra letter. Like over here, you wrote lavisecha with an extra vav, with the vav that's not supposed to be there. So then all you need to do is stretch the base, and you're good to go.
If you have a letter that can be stretched, then you're good to go.
Right. Because we didn't. I don't think he touched it yet, but there's the whole discussion of very interesting discussion. I mean, it's all interesting, but some are a little bit more appealing. But I found it very interesting. The whole which letters can you stretch? There's a whole. He mentioned it briefly of the letters of Haderes. Hey, Aleph, Dalid, Resh, Suf are letters that you can stretch, and then there's other letters that some say you can, some says you can't. It's very interesting how it um
Right.
evolved, if you want to say, because certain things are there. There's Mishnah, Gemara, Brises. Those things we can't move from. Things that are brought in the Gemara. Then there's Brises, and then there's things that are brought in Chuvas, and then Ga'inim, and things that were um established and accepted that that's the way we do it. But the first thing that will come up is either the terminology of the Gemara versus um versus the you'll the more you it's almost like if you have a cake if you have a cake there's either having the ingredients and baking the cake or baking the cake and then figuring out the ingredients. So here we're basically we have the cake and we're trying to figure out the ingredients. You have the kesses in front of you, but he's expecting that you already you're almost given a full platter of many different dishes and you're trying to figure out you have the halacha in front of you, but it's a composite of the lashon of, let's say, the Mishnah, the Gemara, a bit from the Beis Yosef, a little bit from the Mechaber, and a whole bunch of guys put together, and then you have the bottom line. But in itself is um uh not really synopsis. It is a synopsis because it's not the whole back and forth of the Beis Yosef, because then you're going to get lost in the back and forth and you're not going to know what to do. but it's in the in between lines of the Kesses, you have layers and layers of um different generations. I find it fascinating, but
I find
it's
it out of my league. I'm just, you know,
so
yes, it's
let's stick
fascinating.
to
Publish kein
so
Zeit for them, and yeah, it is very fascinating. Good, but
so
yeah,
if you have an extra letter, just to cap it up, if you have an extra letter, if you're able to be it at the beginning or the end, if you have an extra letter at the end, then all you need to do is just erase it, and then you're good to go. If it's in the middle, um,
hold on a
originally we
second.
say that you can't fix it because then it's going to look like two letters, but then we
Yeah,
say no, if it's let's say lavesecha, if it's where you're able to erase it and stretch it
yeah.
without changing the shape of the letter, let's say, then you're good to go.
Did you say it mentions somewhere which letters can be stretched and which can't?
Yes, I don't remember where, but there is a big,
We
not
had a whole
big.
discussion on that, yeah. I remember
He
one you
mentioned,
mentioned
I don't
just
remember all of it, but I remember briefly he mentioned um that there's the letters of Haderes that can be stretched.
Ha'aderes.
Yeah. And then I remember seeing somewhere else that there's a I think that there's a machlokes, I think, of what other letters as well can be stretched.
Yeah. I
Well, I
think
think
there's a
it's
problem. You
that
mentioned the hay. The hay, if I've remembered, a problem could be when you stretch the gug. So what's it called? The little thing on the left has to be on the left. When you stretch the gug, it becomes in the middle, and it's no longer a hay. So you got to be really careful with that.
right. Yeah,
Remember
right.
now, just because you just said the hay, right? So it's stretching is, stretching over
If you
here,
see
that was
the
secha, the base, and you have to
here,
go
look,
the top and
just
then the bottom and the top and then the bottom. You can't just go, otherwise it loses its form completely.
in the I'm just- yeah. In the I don't know if you had a chance yet to see um Reb Reuven's Sav in the file today, but in one in Vahayim Shemaya, so there's a resh that at the end there's a resh
Hold
and
on
there's
a
a
second.
tough that Reb Reuven stretches.
Say that again. I'm sorry. I was interrupted with.
In the file that Chaim added today of
Yes.
Reb
Yes,
of the
I
pit.
saw it. Yeah.
So there's a I think it's in Vahayim Shemaya. So in Vahayim Shemaya, he stretches the Reb Reuven stretches a particular ration, a particular tough, in order to have the parsha
Right.
all the way to the end of the top, all the way to
Right.
the end of the line to be matched up.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then
Okay.
we finish off b'cheinim yachal ha'aves oishel lefanav, if you're able to oishel acharav gamkin mahani she'ein b'zeh mishum shinei ha'is. If you thicken the letter on each side, um, then it doesn't change the letter, then you are good to go. I think that's
Yeah.
where um another option to, let's say, if you in the lave secha, if you thicken the by lave secha,
So
if you so that basically would mean if you stretch the tough
the tough. Yeah.
and you uh,
Yeah. 1 second.
depending on the word. Meaning if the bays and the aleph are next
Exactly.
to each other, so then you would either it's either thickening the tough and making the bays a little bigger. So whichever way you could um fix the issue, then that's what you do. It's not really telling you. Just depends on the scenario. Some scenarios you'll need to stretch the word because if it's going to be, it could be that it's a particular word, mem, or let's say, if there's a tzaddik, if you stretch it too much, it's not going to look like a tzaddik anymore. So
Got to be
depending on the
careful with that, right?
scenario, that's probably why the Shulchan Aruch, that's why the Kesses probably gives us these two options in order to avoid the parsha needing Geniza. That would be the only reason to give us two options. Because if you could stretch it, then stretch any of them. Um,
Trying to think of an example that we went over. Okay, good.
halacha
Weiter.
gimel. Kol
Yeah,
oish hiksu, kol oish hiksuva shaloi kitikuna. Any letter that's written not the way that it's supposed to. Oishin is kalkala, or it was written the way that it was supposed to, but it got messed up. Achakach afterwards, after you already wrote it, which I don't think, which this may have to do with the Bavli and the Yerushalmi that we spoke earlier, but I'm not getting into that right now. Ain surasa Allah, and it doesn't have the tsura. Going for example, nago regal ha'alef, begag ha'alef. So, um, he's bringing an example that it's interesting. He's bringing an example, meaning that you're a sefer that's writing nicely and normally, but the but you writing it um it got messed up as you were writing it,
right.
like the foot of the aleph. So he gives a often example, which is very easy, that the foot of the aleph um Raga regal ha'aleph v'gag ha'aleph, that the foot of the aleph touch the top of the aleph. Oy pnei ha'aleph.
Wait, 1 second. You're talking about the bottom. Let's say there's three different parts. There's a yud on the top, a yud on the bottom, and then there's a line in the middle. So what are we talking about? The yud on the
Naga
bottom.
regal ha'aleph, the yud on
That's what we're calling the regal, the bottom regal. Yeah, and so there's a little piece of it that does touch the diagonal line, but too much of it does. Right.
going naga regal ha'aleph v'gag ha'aleph. So the gag ha'aleph,
That's the diagonal line.
right? That's the vav going down the middle.
That's the vav going down the middle, correct.
Oy pnei ha'aleph bifoneha, or
The upper yud.
right. Oy pnei ha'aleph, the upper yod bifoneha begag shetachteha, or the upper yod um touch the bottom of the vav, which is underneath the top yod. Got me?
No, yeah, but obviously it's talking about it's too thick that's touching it because it does touch the little piece of the yud touches the gug. But we're talking. They showed there was an example I think in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that of it's real thick. The whole little coats that comes out of the bottom, too much of it touches the gug. That's when the problem is.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. So good. So what do we do?
Um regal ha
Okay.
Yakov Noigim, or other scenarios, the hay and the kuf that touch.
These are the three that could that has a
that
roof of it. Yeah.
that could very often touch. Shabachol elu ein dai begrado over here is not enough to just erase levad. Elu shetzrichen levatal tzuras ha'ois v'lekois v'mechadish v'loy have a chok v'loy have v'loy leheve chok teches k'mo shekasa b'simen ches. So it's not enough to erase, but you need to totally absolve the letter from looking like a letter and write it anew. In
Otherwise, it
order,
would be chaktachas.
in order that it shouldn't be chak
Chaktachas. Yeah.
tefes. So this is what the this is one of those letters where um it's when it comes if it the kuf, because it's two separate pieces that make the letter. So if it touches, in a regular case, if it touches, so then you have an issue of chak teiches. Over here, you could have the issue of chak teiches, but because it happened, um, but because it happened um after you finished it, so then you're able to erase it and fix it. And um that's the whole part of where we mentioned about depending on the letter and depending on the scenario,
Yeah.
um how much of the which stroke do you erase, which stroke do you not. So by the aleph, because in this scenario you need to erase the whole thing because it's one big blob. So it's one big mess up, but it's not chak because it only happened afterwards. But because there's three different parts to the letter, so you need to erase the whole thing and um, fix it. But it obviously will depend on.
I don't know. What do you mean the whole thing? If you if this problem is on the top, let's call it the top yud, and you finish the letter, and then you see that
Sorry. You're right. You're right. You're
right.
right.
So
You're right.
then you just have to do that part.
Yeah, because I miss I
Right. You don't touch the bottom.
I translated it to exact because over here he writes Elo shetzrichin levatel tzuras ha'os, meaning that that whole discussion, you need to wherever the mess up was, that's where you need
That's
to
what you do.
erase.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but there are certain letters that you need to that you do need to erase the whole letter. I'll have to double check with Chaim,
Right.
but I
Right.
think there are
Even
certain letters, depending on the scenario, you have to erase the whole thing.
yeah, very few though. Like even the mem, we went over the mem where it has that little, I forget what he called that, the little part up there. So if it's closed, you just have to take that whole part off, not the whole letter. So I'm,
Right.
I'm trying to think of
A
when you would have
resh,
to, huh?
a resh is one stroke.
Yeah,
So a resh, if you have an issue, you would have to
do the
you
whole
would you
thing.
would you'd have to erase the whole thing. A
Right.
yud, a yud
One thing, yeah.
is one thing. A vav, so on and so forth. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Aisha Haisa
So
Ais
wait one
Chaluka
second. If we were just to scrape away that part of the that yud that touches the gug, that would be chatochas, correct?
yes. Yeah.
So therefore, we have to do that whole part.
I
That's what we just did, correct?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Right there.
I think so.
Yeah,
Levatal
that's
Turas Ais Lukais Mechadish the Loyla have a Chaktechas. Yeah, exactly. So then we continue with another no with another variation of this issue of other letters that may have this issue.
yeah,
Or you have a letter that's split into two letters, which interestingly enough, my cousin sent me. No, he showed me a Sefer Torah that one of his balabatim sent him, and um It's exactly one of these things where you have a shin where the ayin, where the shin looks like an ayin and a vav that's
Did you
connected in
just
the
send that
bottom.
out today?
What?
Did you post that today?
No. What I sent was a picture of um Rebbe Reuven's V'haya Kiviyacha and
The Aleph of Yeviacha, yeah.
the
That was
Aleph of Kiviyacha. I was just asking Chaim or whoever else wanted to hash in that the Aleph, because of the age of the thing, it looks like the Aleph may have been touched up, which you're allowed to do to be Mekayim it, to hold its longevity of the parsha. You're able to touch it up, but it's not considered savagabek ksav.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay. All right.
okay.
Nobody with okay.
If you have a letter that's split into two letters, bein mitchila saksiva, whether at the beginning of the writing, bein shenifsek achagach, whether it happened afterwards. Um,
Right, and he gives
the
examples here.
guy in tzadi shenasis yud nun, like a tzaddik that's made a yud nun, oy shin shenasis ayin yud, or a shin that's made a ayin and a yud, oy mem pesucha, or a open mem that shenasis chaf vav, that's made a chaf vav, v'chein lamed shenifsek to tzavara b'niris kamay chaf vav, v'chein ches shebeksav svardish shehi b'lo yichut chat teres, im regel asmoli nifsek tasman agag v'nidma lehei, and any other scenario where you have a letter that is split into two and it looks like one letter that's split and looks like two. Even if a child reads it the way that it's supposed
And he
to.
recognizes the letter as it is.
Yeah.
Reads it
Um
correctly.
im im la'achar im la'achar shekasav lahal sheksav lahalan tiknum hevesh lekisidinum psulim. Even if the child reads it and you go ahead and you fix it, it's like a sidron and it is possible.
Possible. Um, letters divided into two. Well, there's a issue. Saddik, sad analysis.
Oh, if you did not, basically
None.
the the main thing that all these cases go back on is that is the mechilta, that if it's not written in order, then they need geniza. So in all of these cases, we're doing everything we can that it should not need geniza in whatever shape or form we are able to do it. And if you can't do that, or if you didn't do that, then it's possible. That's basically, in all these things, we go back to um, when was it? Um, when did the issue happen, before or after? But this issue, it doesn't really matter before or after, because the reason why this is the classic example of that asking the child doesn't help, because you yourself see that the shin looks like a
Yeah, you
on a
can
vav.
tell yourself. Yeah.